A decade ago, a bunch of grifters managed to hijack and infect the entire gaming industry. They pushed their pointless politics and activist messaging into our games, and ever since then, corporate gaming has done nothing but burn us over and over again. We watched our favorite franchises get hollowed out, sanitized, and get turned into literal lectures. Look at Dragon Age the Veilguard, look at the state of Assassin's Creed, look at all the PlayStation first-party games. I mean, the examples are practically endless. The only escape for us has either been the Eastern games or the indie games. Many people have been hailing them as the savior of gaming, as they know what the gamers actually want and have been delivering just that. But recently, with everything that's been going on in the indie landscape, the Mixtape stuff and the discovery of a certain consultant in Slay the Spire 2, it seems even they are not safe from the rot anymore. So in this video, I want to talk about how these corporate parasites are now trying to invade the indie landscape as well. Now, it's no secret that Slay the Spire 2 is a beloved game. It got an all-time peak of around 500,000 concurrent players on Steam, and to this day is consistently peaking at around 200,000 players every single day. It's reportedly sold around 5 million copies in early access, so yeah, it's a hugely successful game and everything was going just fine until some players noticed this and all hell broke loose. It turns out that none other than Anita Sarkeesian consulted on the game. And what's worse is that the devs decided to keep it under wraps until recently when they sneakily added her name into the game credits. Within hours of the discovery, the game was view-bombed to oblivion, with people saying things like they feel dirty having bought this game and many demanding refunds despite being out of the refund window. This one negative review simply just said, Anita Sarkeesian. That's it. I mean, that's how much people hate her. Now, you might be wondering who this woman actually is, what did she do, and why do thousands of people suddenly feel the need to wash their hands? Anita Sarkeesian is the original grifter and the Vogue feminist final boss. She made a fundraiser Tropes vs. Women documentary series where she talked about how video games sexualize and objectify women. Now, fundamentally, it seems like a fair argument, but it all falls apart in an instant when you realize that around 4 million women willingly objectify themselves on a certain platform that probably hates ACs for some reason. But you know what? According to Anita Sarkeesian, that's not a problem. It's the games that are a problem because they have armor sets for women that show some skin. This pointless series acted as a catalyst for the whole Gamergate controversy back in 2014. The worst part is that she isn't even a gamer. She just pretended to be one to look like a voice of authority in the gaming industry, and this is something she was found admitting herself.
I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this. And also video games, I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So hence this is my response to that.
In short, I've been playing games for most of my life.
As you can see for yourself, she is disgusted by gaming, she hates gamers, but since there's a lot of money on the table, she lied, grifted, and bullied her way into this industry. Back in 2019, when Cyberpunk was in development, this is what she posted on Twitter while tagging CDPR. I don't know about you, but to me, this reads more like, nice game you got there CDPR, would be a shame if some Karens shat all over it. Now, I could be wrong, but I honestly believe something like this is what happened with mediocre and Slay the Spire 2. She probably slid into their DMs with a similar threat and they folded like a wet paper towel. I think they were forced to hire her services because, let's be real here, absolutely no one with even one functioning brain cell would willingly attach that kind of radioactive name to their game. And I don't even want to imagine the amount of money they had to pay her because you'd be horrified to see how much money these people can suck out of the developers. Now, unfortunately, there's no publicly disclosed information or the exact numbers of how much these nonsense consultants charge, but I did a quick Google search and this is what I found. DEI consultants typically charge an hourly rate ranging from $150 to $400, while specialized or senior experts can demand more than $500 an hour. One more thing I found really interesting is this. Large AAA studios pay significantly more with internal DEI leads, earning anywhere from $140,000 to $230,000 per year, which anchors external consultant rates higher. There's also have been some rumors and allegations against Sweet Baby Inc. and other cancer on the gaming industry that they try to sell their services for $7 million. Now, is it true? I don't know. But based on how these Karens frame themselves as the industry experts, I wouldn't put it past them for 1 second. And I think that explains why a game like God of War Ragnarok, which is basically the same game as God of War 2018, somehow cost double the amount to make. Sweet Baby Inc. consulted on that game, specifically focusing on the character of Angrboda to make her more likable. In doing so, they bloated her screen time to a point where the whole third act of the game felt rushed, and Kratos, the face of the franchise, didn't get enough screen time in his own damn game. And this is just one example of the type of bullshit all these companies are bleeding money on. I mean, there's a reason why Pearl Abyss devs got a fat ass bonus when Crimson Desert got successful, while Ubisoft devs got laid off and AC Shadows got, well, successful, I guess. Oh, and not to mention, this probably also adds into why games cost $70 today. You are paying an additional $10 Karen tax. I mean, we're literally putting money in their pockets to ruin our games. Now, out of curiosity, I also checked out Anita Sarkeesian's website, and this is what it reads. My team and I focus on representation issues such as gender, race, sexuality, ability, class, and more by examining art, scripts, and gameplay. We provide developers with a detailed report to equip them with as much information as possible to make informed choices about their game. These are some of the services listed on our website. Eliminating problematic dialogue after reading a script, modernizing historically problematic content, removing problematic player actions. Man, everything's a problem with her now, isn't it?
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Well, that explains it. Anyways, moving on. Creating complex and authentic characters with deep character development, which is a lie, and finally identifying common design pitfalls, which basically means pushing for characters to look like a crossbreed of Ninja Turtles and cave trolls. Now, the website doesn't say how much she charges for consultancy work, but from what I found online, she can charge around $10,000 for a speaking gig alone. And since she's like the original Karen final boss, there's no way in hell she'll be charging anything less than $500 an hour for consulting on a game. But let's just take the lowball estimate and assume that she charges $500 for her services. That's still $10,000 for just 20 hours of shitting on a script. Not gonna lie, man, I'm kinda getting jealous over here. I've been writing scripts, yelling into a microphone, and editing videos practically for free. You know what? I should just leave this whole YouTube thing and become a DI consultant instead. Hey Pearl Abyss, Crimson Desert got 6 out of 10 from IGN because it's not gay enough. The actionable step is to make it more gay. Here's your bill of $50,000. Like and subscribe, I guess. Now, one more very interesting thing I found on our website is her client list, and just check this out. Devolver Digital and Ubisoft, two companies whose stock price is in the gutter, but hey, must have been the win. The point is, Anita Sarkeesian is the reason why your average AAA game feels more like a lecture than a fun video game. She's the living embodiment of everything that's wrong with the gaming industry today, and that's why I completely understand why players would review bomb the hell out of Slay the Spire 2, and I think the devs deserve it. Pressurized or not, they knew what they were doing. They knew it was wrong, and that's precisely why they stayed silent about it. Even now, they refuse to address this issue because they know that this is the best strategy right now. You know, just keep your head down, say absolutely nothing, and wait for it to blow over. But the point is that they betrayed their player base. The whole reason people flock to indie games is because these games are free from pointless garbage. I mean, look at Knight's Path, another indie game that straight up refused to bend their knee to these lunatics. And in doing so, they earned a tremendous amount of goodwill, along with 500,000 wishlists. Now, is it gonna be the best game ever made? No, not at all. It looks like your typical UE5 slop, but people want to support it because of what it stands for. It's a matter of principle, and those same principles are the reason why people are absolutely destroying Mixtape, a nostalgia-bait 4-hour movie that's pretending to be an indie game. I mean, I haven't even played this game myself, but based on everything I've seen online, I can very confidently say that hitting a blinding flash finisher probably requires more button presses than you'd need to 100% Mixtape. And that explains the perfect scores this game's getting, but more on that in just a bit. The thing is, a true indie game is supposed to be a passion project put together by a scrappy team of nerds. They usually don't have a spare $1 million lying around to get licensed music for their games, and they definitely cannot afford to send out custom-made marketing kits to YouTubers and streamers. They simply don't have that kind of marketing budget. They'd probably rely on generative AI or would hire some cheap artists or literally anything to cut corners just so they can invest into things that actually matter, like, I don't know, actual game design. The moment you get backing from a massive publisher like Annapurna, you're not an indie dev anymore. Now, I might be a complete idiot, but from the way I see it, Mixtape is not an indie game by any definition of the word. Annapurna Interactive is owned by Megan Allison, the daughter of the 5th richest man in the world, and just to get an idea of the safety net she has, back in 2019, her daddy literally saved her film company from bankruptcy. I mean, even Ubisoft hasn't got this type of financial backing, let alone any indie devs. This company basically has all the money in the world to make a good game, and they probably had the talent too, but this is what they came up with. I mean, for being a purely narrative-driven experience that's literally called Mixtape, they couldn't even get the cassette rewinding animations right. And I don't even want to talk about the tongue wrestling minigame. Now, this game is getting absolutely glazed by the game journals. I mean, just look at all these major outlets like GameSpot, Insider Gaming, and most prominently, IGN shamelessly giving this game 9s and 10s, praising it for nostalgia and a soundtrack that the creators didn't even compose themselves. I mean, what are we actually doing here, man? Rating a 3-hour movie based on a licensed soundtrack? Now, I know there are people who prefer these type of movies, and I'm no one to judge anyone or tell them what they can or cannot like. If you're someone who liked Mixtape, it's perfectly fine, and I'm happy for you. Maybe it resonated with you and evoked some feelings that made you connect with it on a deeper level, but please don't hail it as something it's not. A clear majority doesn't even care about Mixtape, and looking at all these rave critic reviews, I can't help but feel they're trying their absolute best to shill for this $20 movie. I mean, most of these reviews read more like a damn sales page in the first place. And on top of that, all these gaming media outlets are trying to defend this game like their life depends on it. Just look at this game journalist from TheGamer literally lying and telling you that you are wrong for saying Mixtape doesn't have any gameplay. And how does he prove his point? He brings up a clip of having to push your left stick forward to f***ing move. I mean, if that passes as gameplay, the loading screens in Assassin's Creed should be awarded Game of the Year. Now yes, you can argue that yeah, okay, they gave it a 10 out of 10, so what? What's the big deal? We don't take them seriously anyway, they are a joke and their opinions don't matter. But that's not how it works now, does it? If they're so irrelevant, why are they even a conversation? The thing is, like it or not, these ratings, these scores still hold some authority. Just recently, bad critic scores for Crimson Desert tanked the Pearl Abyss share price by 30% despite the fact that the game sold 2 million copies in just 24 hours. On the flip side, when the game gets higher ratings, more and more companies will jump on the bandwagon to chase trends. What do you think is the reason that Sony keeps pumping out Concord after Concord? It's simple. These game critics from all these major outlets showered them with praise, giving them 7s and 8s and 9s. Now I see some people celebrating Marathon dying and thinking that Sony will probably learn their lesson after this one. No, they won't, because all these people live in a giant echo chamber. Sony is looking at the 9 Marathon got from IGN and thinking, you know what, this absolutely works. We just need to reiterate this and somehow appeal to the masses. And as a result, they double down on crap like Horizon Hunter something and Fair Games. This giant echo chamber is the problem. All these people simply dismiss the opinions of actual gamers because they think they know better. I mean, even Anita Sarkeesian proudly flexes how she doesn't debate anyone.
So I don't debate people. For years, these f***ing assholes on the internet are like, debate me, like I'll pay you 10 grand if you debate me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, no.
This woman just lives in her own little world where there are only 2 possibilities. Either she is right or you are wrong. Anyways, moving on. The point is, Mixtape is not getting the backlash because of culture war or anything like that. I mean, yes, the character designs are questionable, but that's still not the reason. It's getting the backlash for what it represents. It's getting destroyed because of all the 9s and 10s it's getting that it definitely doesn't deserve. The whole entire purpose of rating a game is to gauge how it stands up to competition and what value it provides to the paying customer. Now yes, you can argue the comparison as a thief of joy, and I've heard this a million times, but without fair comparison, how on earth can you tell good from bad? Like if you didn't compare Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag to AC Shadows, how would you know that Shadows is a dogshit game? If you didn't compare any open world games to Crimson Desert, how could you tell that Crimson Desert is a great game? Not comparing similar games is like eating soup with a fork, completely ignoring the fact that a spoon exists. Comparison is absolutely necessary, especially when you're paying for a product, and these ratings are supposed to reflect that. The thing is, a review score is an indirect comparison. So when IGN or any other gaming outlet gives Mixtape a 10, they're trying to tell the audience that this so-called game is just as good as a masterpiece like Red Dead Redemption 2. They're trying to tell their audience that this game is much better than a game like Crimson Desert. Now the worst part is that after dropping these hilariously bad review scores, these outlets like IGN hide behind the excuse that a review is just the opinion of the individual journalist reviewing the game. But it doesn't make any sense now, does it? Because these game journalists represent IGN, and IGN as an organization gives their opinion a massive amount of weight, which to be honest they don't deserve in the first place. I mean, let's be real here. Who in their right minds would take this guy seriously if it weren't for the IGN brand name backing him up? Another thing is that I'm sure IGN would hire like-minded people who share their exact same opinions and worldviews. Like if I went there today, I'm sure as hell they would never hire me to review a game because they know damn well that I would rip their favorite games to shreds. The thing is that these game journalists and the DEI consultants are just two arms of the same beast. For the last 10 years, the consultants have been acting as the problem solvers, and the journalists have been glazing everything they put out, trying to convince everyone that it works. In doing so, they damage the AAA industry to a point where players simply stop showing up, and now many of the big companies are actively moving away from these people. Just recently, there were reports that Square Enix laid off hundreds of employees across all their Western studios in an effort to consolidate game development and publishing back in Japan. And speaking of Japan, don't forget that these parasites also try to infiltrate the Eastern market, but since that failed spectacularly, the only easy prey left for them was the indie games. And the fact that Mixtape is masquerading as an indie passion project while Mega Crit shadow dropped Anita Sarkeesian as one of their consultants pretty much proves it. I think the only solution now is just like the AI disclosures, Steam should also force the devs to disclose who they consulted with. That way players wouldn't accidentally end up supporting something they don't want to. And as for the ratings and reviews, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the entire critic scoring system needs to go, because these so-called game critics don't represent the gamers in any way. But I'll leave you at that. Do share your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of Mixtape, and would you have bought Slay the Spire 2 if you knew that Anita Sarkeesian consulted on it? Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you found the video valuable. Also use the hype feature so my video gets more exposure and my small channel blows up. I would really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.